So hi again everyone. In this tutorial I will show you how to quickly find relevant research articles. For example, for your essays using online databases in general, and specifically I will be talking about ISI Web of Science or Web of Knowledge, which is one of the most commonly used online databases for research articles used in ecology and environmental science. So if you've never used one of these databases before, the easiest way to find it is to go to the Stockholm University webpage, su.se. Click for English here so everyone can understand, and then I'll click the link to the library here. Then we get to the Stockholm University Library homepage, where we can, here for example, we can search for library books and journals. But we can also directly click on this link to get a list of all of the databases that Stockholm University has access to. So we click that link, and then we get a list of the thousands of databases that you can access as a student or employee at Stockholm University. And the one we want to use is called Web of Science. We can either type that in here, Web of Science, there, or we could have just simply clicked W and found it that way, but we'll click Web of Science. And then we get to the Web of Science front page, which is the page from where you do a simple search. Let's assume now that, for the sake of simplicity, that we are searching for, we're writing an essay about coral reefs, and we want to find relevant literature on that topic. So then we could start by typing in a search word that we think is relevant. In this case it would probably be coral. And then we can add an asterisk, a star here. What this asterisk does is that it finds all words including the word C-O-R-A-L, but also combinations of it, for example coral and corals, so singular and plural. So it's always good to include these asterisks at the end of words. And we can, and then we look here, this setting here, this is a window with different options that you can select. Now the default is that it's set to topic. That means that it lists articles that have this word that you're using to search for in either the title or the abstract or the keywords that are listed by the authors, or the extended keywords or the keywords plus, which are listed by ISI Web of Science themselves. We can also here look at time span down here. Now it's listed to show articles published in all years. But if we want to, we could set that to another setting. For example, if we want to show articles that are published from the last 10 years, for example, from let's say 2006 to 2017. But for the sake of simplicity here, we'll list here all years. So coral, and then we'll hit search. And then we see here that we find 45,721 research articles. So nearly 50,000 articles that include the word coral are listed in ISI Web of Science. So this is for a lot of literature, and it would be impossible to screen all of this. Or to scroll through all of these. But what we see here is that we get a list of all of the different research papers. Now it's sorted based on the publication date, going from newest to oldest, but that we can change if we want to. For example, we could shift it from oldest to newest. And then we see here that there was a study published in 1945, that's the first one listed, called Decadent Coral Reef on Eniwetok Island in the Marshall Group. But we'll go back here. But let's assume that we think that this article here looks interesting. Mapping sea gas coverage and spatial patterns with high spatial resolution ICONOS imagery. We can click the title. The title is an HTML link. and then we get to the page of that particular research article. We can see the title here. Who is it by? It's by R. Poo and S. Bell, Susan Bell. We can actually click their names if we want to, and then we would find all articles published by Susan Bell. We see here, we see the name of the journal, International Journal of Applied Earth Observation and Geoinformation, what volume and pages it is, the DOI, the Digital Object Identifier, so each article has an individual code that we can use, for example, to search on Google if we use that code. We see when it was published, some information about the journal, and we find the abstract, so basically the short summary of the whole research paper, the keywords, listed by the authors. Those we can also click. So for example, this lists seagrass as a keyword. If we click that, we would find all articles in the entire database that use seagrass as a keyword. We see some information about the authors, their reprint addresses, their work addresses, what funding the study had, what publisher it had, and so forth. But let's assume that we think that we read the abstract here and we think that, well, yeah, I want to read the whole article. Then we want to download it. Then we can either click the full text option button here, and we can find whether the journal is available at Stockholm University. But this particular article, we see that we can actually directly access the full text from the publisher. So we click that link. Then we see here that we get to the journal page, the International Journal of Applied Earth Observation and Geoinformation. We see that we can read the online paper directly, or we can download the PDF. And there we have the PDF, so we can save it, or if we want to print it, for example. But let's go back to Web of Science. So we had a huge list of papers here, 45,000 papers. So that's, of course, too much to go through if we don't know exactly what we're looking for. So we need to refine our search. So we'll go back to the initial search. And let's say that we want to look at coral reefs, so not just studies about, for example, coral physiology, but studies that actually include the word reef as well. Then include the word "and" in capital letters and reef. The "and" means that it will list studies that always include both the word coral and reef. And then I'll hit search again. We see that now we're down to 25,000 articles, so we nearly cut the list in half. Still a lot of information to scroll through, so I think we'll try to refine the list even more. Either we could go back and add another search phrase, or we can actually refine the results here by searching within the results. So that if I click and write something here, I'm searching within these 25,000 articles specifically. So let's assume that we want to look for articles that list corals and reefs, that's already the search, but also that focus on parrotfish. Parrotfish is a family of tropical fish species common in coral reefs. So I'll write parrotfish and end with an asterisk again. And I'll hit this search button here. And then we see that we're down to 432. That's a lot better. Now it's starting to be manageable. Based on this, for example, let's assume we want to see, okay, what are the most cited papers? The articles that have received most citations within this list of 432. Then we can sort them by time cited, highest to lowest. Then we can see that the most cited papers that include these search phrases, coral reef and parrotfish, is this paper, Fishing, Trophic Cascades and the Process of Grazing on Coral Reefs. And it's been cited 390 391 times. So we can click on that. Let's assume now that we would like to find similar studies to this one. Let's assume we have read this and we think that this is an interesting paper and we want to find similar papers to this paper. Then we can use this View Related Records button here. And then it lists papers that share references with this paper. So we click that button. And then we can see that here that we get a list now of 4,000 papers that share at least one reference with this one, the one that we started with. We can see the most similar one is this one, the impact of exploitation grazers on the dynamics of Caribbean coral reefs. And it contains 9 shared references. The next one, this paper, contains only 8 shared references. So what you see here is that we can use Web of Science in different ways, particularly by using different combinations of keywords. And I'll show you a couple of more ways how you can use those. So for example, we could list a whole string of keywords. Let's assume we go back to we use the same parrotfish search. And we also only want to look at studies that were most likely conducted in Africa. And let's assume here that we're only interested in experimental studies. So then it's very likely that the word experiment is included. And then we'll look over all years. And then we'll hit the search. So here we see that there's actually just one study that fits this criteria. Called Blood Parasite Biodiversity of Reef-Associated Fishes in the Eastern Caribbean. So it's actually not done in Africa. When we click it and see here that it highlights the search words, reef, parrotfish, reef, experiments, reef, coral reefs there. Africa also, okay, so South Africa was listed as a keywords plus, so it wasn't actually conducted in Africa. I'll show you another feature here. Let's assume we want to look at coral reef and parrotfish studies, but exclude all studies that have also something to do with seagrass for some reason. It's more about showing you that we can do this. So then we'll, instead of writing and, we'll write not seagrass. And let's see, we find 398 papers. Likewise, we could shift this. Let's assume we just want to look at the papers that have looked at parrotfish in seagrass. And we'll remove this, parrotfish and seagrass. Then we find 59 papers. So relatively easy to manage list. So what else can I show you? We also have the Web of Science categories here. They can sometimes be quite useful. For example, let's assume we just want to look at the papers here that are within the Web of Science category of environmental science. Then we can click that. And we hit refine. And then we just find 5 papers are listed as, so remember now, can look here for, we search for parrotfish and seagrass just within environmental sciences. 5 papers. So hopefully now you know a bit more about how to use different types of search engines and Web of Science in particular. Thank you for listening again.